Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for these character sheets and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for better rivalries next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Ryu and Akuma from Street Fighter, less of a dynamic duo and more of an undying rivalry. Still, these two have an undeniable chemistry. They're both so stoic most of the time, but they really care what the other one thinks. Why must they be street fighters? They would be so much happier as street lovers.
We gotta learn to reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
We'll start things off with Ryu. He's sort of the starting character of Street Fighter. For Ryu, we need to Shoto, the definitive Shotokan, even though it broke the actual definition of Shotokan. Next, we need to hit a little harder than Ken, even if we end up being a bit slower as a result. Finally, we need a bigger laser, something worth spending a bit of meter on. For stats, we'll be using the standard pointer right from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Dexterity will be number 1, you keep it light, and I'm not just talking about the laser you shoot from your hands. Wisdom next, a warrior must have sharp senses if you're going to hear the phone ringing while you sit under a waterfall. Strength after that, Ryu's muscles are pretty ridiculous. Not relatively in Street Fighter, but if you saw a dude as stacked as Ryu on the street, you'd probably feel the need to stare. Follow that up with Constitution if you want to make it out of round 1, you can't die. Charisma is a bit low. You have all the charisma of a piece of toast, a Ford Taurus, and a cheese pizza combined. So not much, but it's not bad. We'll dump intelligence though. You don't have to be able to spell your moves, you just need to shout them. Ryu is a human, but feats are good, so we'll go with Variant Human because he's a good human. The Crusher feat gives you +1 Constitution. You can move a creature 5 feet when you deal bludgeoning damage to them once per turn, and when you critically hit with a bludgeoning attack, the next attack against the target has advantage. That might even let you chain critical hits together. Bump your Dexterity and your Constitution with your 2 free points, grab Intimidation for your skill of choice, and build your own background for Insight and Perception. We're pretty clearly starting as a monk. I'm always baffled when I remember monks can't get perception. That feels wrong. Anyway, monks can grab athletics and acrobatics for their skills of choice, and those are great when you're a master martial artist. Martial arts are also pretty great for a master martial artist, letting you make your unarmed attacks using your dexterity modifier. They deal 1d4 damage, and you can make an unarmed attack as part of a bonus action after you make one with your action, so you've got a combo at level 1. It's not a big combo, but we'll practice our strings more in a second. You also can't wear armor and use martial arts, so rock some unarmored defense to get 10 plus your dexterity and wisdom modifier when you're just wearing a gi. To clarify, I mean a cloth martial arts robe, not clarified butter. I mean also clarified butter. That's not like plate mail. Second level monks get key points they can use to burn some meter, with Step the Wind, dash, or disengage as a bonus action, and double your jump distance for the round, helping you close in on those zoners. Patient Defense lets you dodge as a bonus action, getting the parry timing right so you can start a combo. Not really, you don't get advantage or anything when someone misses you, but you don't take damage and that's always nice. Flurry of Blows lets you make 2 unarmed attacks as a bonus action. That's a storm. I mean, a real storm. Not a thunderstorm, but a storm of fists raining down on your head, blasting you in the face, pummeling you in the stomach, hitting you so hard in the chest you think your heart's gonna stop. You ever been in a storm like that? Because if you have, you should use unarmored movement to run away. It makes you faster when you're not wearing armor. Third level monks can choose a monastic tradition, and everybody thinks that Sun Soul Monk makes Goku, but they don't. Goku doesn't fly. Sun Soul makes Ryu. You get Radiant Sun Bolts, which are ranged spell attacks that use your dexterity modifier and your monk type. You can shoot 2 out as a bonus action with a key point. It's basically your unarmed attacks with 30 feet of range and radiant damage. It's really great for bullying people who don't know how to get close to you. You also get Deflect Missiles to stop other people from spamming you with projectiles, reducing the damage of incoming ranged attacks by 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier and monk level as a reaction. If you drop it to 0, you can even throw the ammo back by spending a key point, though I'd save your key points for spamming projectiles with your action. 4th level monks get Slow Fall, reducing falling damage by 5 times your monk level so you don't break your legs when you jump 10 feet in the air. Maybe Ryu should stop getting in fights and start playing basketball. Street Fighter cross Space Jam when, Capcom. You also get an ability score improvement. Dexterity helps you punch and dodge. It's good stuff for a monk. 5th level monks get an extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action, and up to 4 with a Flurry of Blows or a spamming of Shotokan. You also get Stunning Strike, letting you force a Constitution saving throw on a creature you hit, stunning them until the end of your next turn if they fail. Everyone in Street Fighter can fill that stun gauge, but Ryu can supercharge his stunning abilities, so it's even more in character for you. Your monk die also bumps up to a d6 to hit a little bit harder with punches and Shotokans. 6th level Sun Soul monks should get a flying speed, but they don't. They get Searing Arc Strike, letting you cast Burning Hands with 2 key points. It's bad. It's a 4 elements monk ability, but even 4 elements monks get the option to pick something else, and can even pick this up at level 3 instead of level 6. I don't much care for it. You also get Key Empowered Strike to make your unarmed strikes magical in terms of overcoming resistances, letting you hammer away at even the thickest of foes. 7th level monks get evasion, letting you take half damage from failed dex saves and no damage from successful ones. Both Ken and Akuma love to use those big old fireballs, so basically saying they deal no damage should limit their options and help you get your reads on. You also get stillness of mind, letting you remove an effect of charming or frightening as an action. There has to be some sort of benefit to all that meditation. 8th level monks get another ability score improvement, letting you cap off your dexterity modifier to maximize your punches and Shotokans, unless we could push your martial arts die higher. That would make it better. 9th level monks get unarmored movement improvement, letting you move up walls and over water when you're not wearing armor, as long as you end your turn somewhere solid. There aren't any walls or ponds in Street Fighter. Every map is pretty much the same flat two-way street. There are some DMs who make maps like that in D&D, but hopefully your DM makes something cooler so you can take advantage of these mobility options. 10th level monks get purity of body for immunity to poison and disease, and some of you are thinking, hey, Fang uses poison and it can hit Ryu, but Fang uses damage over time poison, which would be more akin to Tasha's Caustic Brew in D&D, which is acid damage, so it's fine. Also, I guess there's one piece of a Fang bill. If you all were waiting for that, I'm pretty nice. 11th level monk is what we're sticking around for, bumping your damage die to a d8 and giving you Searing Sun Burst, a special attack option that creates a 20-foot radius sphere that forces a constitution saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 2d6 radiant damage to those that fail. You can even add another 2d6 of radiant damage by spending a key point to a maximum of 8d6 radiant damage, which would be like a radiant fireball that doesn't get nerfed by evasion. It's a pretty solid ultimate technique. But it can get even more ultimate at the 12th level of monk because we can use our ability score improvement to bump your wisdom modifier for a harder saving throw. We're gonna bounce over to fighter now because we kinda don't need anything else from monk. 13th level monks speak every language, something Ryu doesn't do. Sun Soul monks get a laser shield, which Ryu doesn't have, and eventually turn invisible. That's not Ryu. So instead we're gonna grab a fighting style, like superior technique, giving you a d6 superiority die to spend on a maneuver like parry, reducing the damage from an incoming ranged attack by a d6 plus your dexterity modifier. Unlike deflect missiles, this will work on melee attacks, so you can always keep the damage down. Second wind lets you recover 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per short rest, helping you get ready for round 2 with full health. Hopefully. Second level fighters get action surge, letting you make 2 actions in 1 turn, once per short rest. That would help you get a 6-hit combo off with Flurry of Blows, which is 4 more hits than I have ever put into a combo in Street Fighter. I'm not very good at it. Third level fighters get to choose a martial archetype like Battle Master, giving you 4 more superiority die, bumping them up to d8s, and giving you 3 more maneuvers to spend them on. Disarming Strike lets you force a strength saving throw on a creature, making them drop the item they're holding if they fail. Vega brought a knife to a fist fight. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Tripping Attack does the same thing, but it knocks them prone. Both add your superiority die to the damage. Repose lets you take advantage of that amazing monk AC, making an opportunity attack against a creature that misses you with a melee attack, adding your superiority die to the damage. Pairs really well with Patient Defense, letting you actually get revenge mechanics going. But really, the strongest part of this multi-class is Student of War, giving you proficiency with a set of artisan's tools like calligraphy to be the ultimate fighting master. 4th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Wisdom will help get you your big AoE Hadokens, and it will make your AC higher to get your parry combos going. 5th level fighters get nothing because extra attack doesn't stack at this level. I'm not good at making builds, but I'm even worse at playing Street Fighter. 6th level fighters get an ability score improvement to cap off your wisdom modifier for 20 AC to get those reposes off as often as possible. Do you like how I'm saying repose? Repose! 7th level battle masters get to know their enemy, learning a creature's strength, dexterity, constitution, HP, AC, fighter levels, or total levels after a minute of study. You get 2 pieces of information and can size up your opponent before the fight. You also get another superiority die for a total of 6 and 2 more maneuvers. Lunging attack will be your version of a hurricane kick, adding 5 feet to the range of a melee attack and extra damage so you can spin to win. Finally, pushing attack forces a strength saving throw on an enemy, pushing them back 15 feet if they fail. I don't know if this stacks with Crusher, but if it does, you can send people on a one-way trip to the Blast Zone. That's in Smash Bros. I promise I'll never mention it again. I know people hate that. Our capstone is the 8th level fighter for one last ability score improvement or a feat. Tough is always nice, giving you 40 extra HP at this point and making up for the fact that we didn't get to invest in our constitution. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, combos. You can dish out between 3 and 6 attacks per round, each with a capped modifier and the ability to ignore magical resistances. You even have ranged options as a Sun Soul monk. You've also got great mobility, helping you close gaps to mess up archers or disengage to punish your slower foes. Finally, Crusher lets you decide where you want to fight, moving your target when you're fighting them for better positioning. For weaknesses, you have a bunch of limited resources. Key points and superiority die both run out pretty quickly. Sure, they both recharge on short rests, but you'll be shocked how fast you run out of them. You also have that pesky fighter-monk multi-class issue without stacking extra attacks. In the long run, it doesn't matter much, but boy howdy, would a whole level of nothing stink if there are months between level ups in a campaign. Finally, intelligence isn't a common saving throw, but it can be a nasty one, and illusions are going to be really rough for you. But illusion casters are generally pretty squishy, and you're a master of squishing. Bash people up close or spam projectiles like a monster. You can really play this one however you want, but I can't fight the feeling that we would hit harder if we embraced the dark side.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase.
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need to be evil, but not really, he's just kinda grumpy. Next, we need some purple beams, like Ryu's blue beams or Ken's red beams, but more evil. Finally, we need giant pillars of flame to blow people up with a single move. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Strength will be number 1. Akuma's number 1 goal is to be the world's best fighter, and he's much more concerned with power than speed. Charisma next. Akuma is pretty scary, he pretends to be a demon, and people believe him. Constitution after that. If you try to fight people every day of your life, you gotta take a punch. Follow that up with dexterity. You're definitely nimble, just not as nimble as you are beefy. Intelligence is a bit low. You find out one piece of demon mythos and hold on to it. And we'll dump wisdom. You do get a little loopy after you've embraced enough dark power. Akuma is a human. I know he really wants to be a demon, but that's too bad. Humans get feats though, and that's pretty good. We'll get most of the stuff we need from our classes, so just grab the tough feat, 2 HP every time you level up. Buff your constitution and your strength with your 2 free points, take perception for your skill of choice, and build your own background for intimidation and arcana proficiency. You need to know the demon you're pretending to be to scare people properly. We'll kick things off as a fighter. The game is called Street Fighter, after all, letting you pick 2 skills from the fighter list, like athletics and acrobatics. You're pretty similar to Ryu and Ken, both in terms of the power to do a backflip and the technique to do a backflip. You also get a fighting style, and unarmed fighting is great for fighting unarmed. It lets you make an unarmed attack that deals 1d6 bludgeoning damage or 1d8 with 2 free hands, and an extra d4 of damage to a creature you have grappled once per round if you like to mix in some throwing combos. You also get second wind, letting you heal 1d10 plus your fighter level once per short rest, letting you get ready for round 2. I know I said the same thing in the Ken and Ryu video, but these boys have so much in common. Maybe they should try to be buddies. Second level fighters get action surge, letting you make 2 actions in 1 turn once per short rest. You could use this to really hammer away with the punches, or later to mix in some blasts and beams with your martial arts. Third level fighters can choose a martial archetype, and we're grabbing Eldritch Knight. Not for weapon bond, because hey, Akuma doesn't need any weapon. Honestly, not even for the spells we're getting right away. Shield adds 5 to your AC as a reaction to block incoming damage. Mage armor makes your AC 13 plus your dexterity modifier when you're not wearing armor, so you can be unarmored without having to dip to monk or barbarian. And long strider will bump your movement speed by 10 feet, so you don't need unarmored movement. The cantrips are even more worthless. Blade Ward gives you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Just dodging might be better, but Eldritch Knight gets something later to make this a little more useful. True Strike is much more useless. It's really only useful if you want to tell your audience that the reason you're critical of sections of your audience is because you have a responsibility to foster a community free from bigots and gatekeepers. If you don't have a D&D YouTube series with an audience that you need to cultivate, it just gives you advantage on a weapon attack next round. This level might seem pretty useless with 2 cantrips and a class feature we don't plan to use, but trust me, it's gonna pay off with some nice combos later. For now, enjoy 4th level of fighter for an ability score improvement, letting you bump your strength to hit harder with all of your attacks, and that pairs really well with the 5th level fighter's ability, extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks with your action or 4 with an action surge. The only way that could be better is if we could make our attacks hit harder. We can do that with the 6th level fighter by using our ability score improvement to cap off our strength score. Levels 4 through 8 of fighter are really a trip. You basically just get to become better than everyone else in the party. 7th level Eldritch Knight is what we're here for, because War Magic lets you make an attack as a bonus action after you cast a cantrip with your action, to turn Blade Ward up and still punch in the same round, though we'll be using it with other cantrips we get later that are much better for this. 8th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Let's start working on our charisma. It's pretty important for getting demonic. But you know what else is important for getting demonic? Signing up with a demon. Technically, your evil energy is more of an illicit force than a personified demon, but I still think Warlock, specifically Fiend Warlock, will work really well for giving you that Akuma flavor. You get Dark One's Blessing, meaning that when you drop creature to 0 HP, you get temporary HP equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. Pairing it with Second Wind, you've got a couple methods for recovery. What we really need are Warlock spells and cantrips. Thunderclap forces a Constitution saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing 2d6 thunder damage to those that fail for a little ground pound. This is the cantrip I wanted to mix into the combo, even if it's probably stronger to use Eldritch Blast for an evil Shotokan. That lets you shoot 2 beams that deal 1d10 force damage each with a ranged spell attack. You can jack that damage up and all of your damage up with the Hex spell, which gives a creature disadvantage on ability checks of a certain type, and you'll deal an extra d6 of necrotic damage to attacks against them. Spell attacks and weapon attacks, meaning that your Eldritch Blast beams are basically a d16 and your unarmed attacks are basically a d14. all with some evil purple energy around them. Burning Hands is a decent AoE option, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 15-foot cone, dealing 3d6 fire damage to those that fail. Save this for something that looks weak to fire damage though. Hex is a much better use of your spell slots. Speaking of, multi-classing Warlock and other spellcasters isn't all that stressful. You basically have the slots you would have from each class without multi-classing and can cast Warlock spells with Eldritch Knight slots and vice versa. Also, I deliberately chose spells without modifiers for Eldritch Knight because I care about you and I want your sheet to be easy to read. I also want it to be easy for Mason to make. You're welcome, Mason. Second level Warlocks get Invocations, special powers for embracing evil that Ryu can't use. Agonizing Blast lets you add your Charisma modifier to the damage of your Eldritch Blast attacks, which will get absolutely silly with an Action Surge and Hex by the time this is done. Eldritch Mind gives you advantage on concentration saving throws, helping you keep your Hex up to pop that cool purple energy. For this level spell, Cause Fear forces a Wisdom saving throw on a creature, frightening them if they fail. It could be useful, but you know what I think is scarier than a frightening effect? Your Hex combos. Third level Warlocks get a Pact Boon, and you don't really use weapons, books, or animals. So we'll go for Pact of the Talisman, letting you add a d4 to a failed ability check an amount of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus. You could use this to always look cool, or to break out of grapple checks with your already impressive athletics check. You also get second level spells like Misty Step, letting you teleport 30 feet as a bonus action, so you can do a weird phase step and add mobility to your wide list of skills. Fourth level Warlocks get another ability score improvement, so you can push that Charisma higher for more powerful scary demon powers. Speaking of, Scorching Ray from the Fiend list lets you shoot 3 fireballs that deal 2d6 fire damage each, and you can hit one or multiple targets with them. Hex will put some evil energy on all of those for you, so don't worry, it's not just a boring basic fireball, they're all going to effectively deal 3d6 damage instead. But that's worse than Eldritch Blast, which now shoots 3 beams that deal 1d10 plus 1d6 plus 4 damage each, and they don't use a spell slot. It's such a strong cantrip, there's a reason it's a meme. Fifth level Warlocks get third level spells like Spirit Shroud, which adds a d8 of necrotic, radiant, or cold damage to all of your attacks against a creature within 10 feet of you, and you can slow their movement speed by up to 10 feet as well. So that's a little souped up damage version of Hex that makes people slower instead of giving them disadvantage. I think I still prefer Hex. You also get another invocation, Devil's Sight lets you see in all kinds of darkness within a 120 foot range, perfect for training in dark, spooky caves. 6th level Fiendlocks get Dark One's Own Luck, letting you add a d10 to an ability check or saving throw once per short rest. Pact of the Talisman will help you fix it up so that you never have to fail. Failure isn't an option. But Fireball is. That forces the dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 20-foot radius sphere, dealing 8d6 fire damage to those that fail. Probably not very effective on the monks in Street Fighter, but there are a few bigger, slower fighters that you could use this on. Say bye-bye, birdie. I mixed a obscure Street Fighter 5 character reference into a Bye Bye Birdie reference, and I want something for that. I want to be rewarded. 7th level Warlocks can learn 4th level spells. Wall of Flame from the Fiend list creates a 60-foot line or 20-foot ringed wall of fire that forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 4d8 fire damage to those that fail, and dealing that damage again on the side of the wall you pick for a full-on eruption of hellfire. But if you don't want to spend all that meter, the invocation Relentless Hex will reward you for hexing someone, letting you teleport 30 feet closer to a creature you have hexed as a bonus action, so basically just a free Misty Step, which makes you miserable to escape from. 8th level Warlocks get another ability score improvement, capping off your Charisma modifier will maximize your demonic energy just in time for your ultimate attack. 9th level Warlocks get 5th level spells, and Flame Strike makes the biggest pillar of fire possible in a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of fire that forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 4d6 fire and 4d6 radiant damage to those that fail. I'll be honest, I think this is shaped better than Fireball, but it actually does less damage than Fireball would if you upcast it. So if you want to hit a big area, just do Fireball. We'll round this off with more fighter levels. 9th level fighters get Indomitable, letting you reroll a failed saving throw once per long rest. You can even use these on death saving throws for that trademark Akuma tenacity. 10th level Eldritch Knights get Eldritch Strikes, giving creatures you hit with a weapon attack disadvantage on saves against the next spell you cast before you end your next turn. This can mix Thunderclap in nicely, which will be dealing 4d6 thunder damage if you want to pound the ground while you pound Ryu's face. Our capstone is the 11th level fighter for one last extra attack, 3 attacks total with your action or up to 6 with an action surge. Spirit Shroud and Hex can pop on all of those attacks, giving you a truly savage combo. Now that we've hit level 20, let's talk about that combo. With Action Surge, you could shoot 8 Eldritch Blast beams, make an attack as a bonus action thanks to War Magic, and add 2d8 necrotic damage to each attack thanks to Spirit Shroud for 8d10 plus 19d8 plus 45 total damage, or around 171 damage with median rolls. That's bonkers. You can also use your lower level spells for Hex to teleport around and prevent anyone from running away from you. Finally, you've got a ton of HP with over 200 unless you rolled really poorly, and methods to get some of that back with Murder. For weaknesses, your AC is bad if you're playing the character with mage armor. You've got 14 AC, I guess 19 with the shield spell, but that's going to burn through your spell slots. Easy fix, wear plate mail. You have proficiency with it, and you have the strength for it, it's just not in character. Your wisdom is also really low, and wisdom saves can be brutal, especially hold person. Finally, weapons are good, use a weapon. But that's not Akuma, and Akuma doesn't need anything but Akuma to be the best. You've got 3 Shoto options now: Ken's massive speed, Akuma's edgy flare, or Ryu's basic blasts, which should let you fight however you want to on the street. Just watch out for somebody who's doing something other than punching, otherwise your dad might be saying, "Bye, son." Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We're making double videos every day this month. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.